Welcome to another episode of One of Us Knows What They're Talking About, and the other one is you. I'm Lorie Burch, your host. Join us as we discuss and unpack wills, trusts, estate planning, and probate law in a way that's actually informative, interesting, and, well, hopefully entertaining. Because if you don't have a will, the state of Texas has one for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of One of Us Knows What They're Talking About, and the other one is you. Today, we are going to dive into a fun topic that I'm sure we will dip into time and time again. And it kind of is an umbrella topic, but it's a lot of common misperceptions and or biggest mistakes that we see when it comes to wills, trusts, living wills, powers of attorney, and probate in Texas, because, well, that's the whole title of the podcast now, isn't it? That there are things that people think they understand or know or assume, and we all know what assuming does, but they're wrong. They're dead wrong. They're gravely mistaken.
Good one.
Boom, boom. Shh. Anyway, so you're Sam, Sara, Cyntia. Are you ready to dive in?
We're so ready.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one that I know that you all hear me rant about a lot, and I think it's because it's a really big shocker for people. One, it doesn't work this way in a lot of other states, but here in the great state of Texas, it does. And that is that a home, your house that you own with your spouse, does not automatically go to your surviving spouse if you die.
What?
A lot of people, yeah, I know. What the what?
I
Now
think
we need that.
that's going to be the thing.
record
Every
scratch.
time you say something, just incredulous. That's going to be the reaction.
So my sister got Adley a subscription. This is my 5-year-old. For those who don't know, these three know it very well. And a subscription to Highlights magazine, and which is just awesome because that was one of my favorite magazines growing up. I do lament that there's no more Goofus and Gallant in there. They don't have that, but they do always have a feature of a very busy looking scene. And then it'll say, what do you see that's silly here? So it could be like a dog brushing its teeth, right? So anyway, for some reason, Adley has started this thing, and we're going to have to record her, that when we're looking at that together and she sees something that's silly or out of place, she goes, huh? Huh? And I have no idea where she got that from, but I think we need to get that recorded. So every time, like, I or any of us say one of those things, we got Adley going, huh?
Did you say you don't know where she got that from?
Do I say that?
Yes.
Did I just recently start saying it though?
No.
Because sometimes I don't know the chicken and the egg. Where
That one is definitely you did it first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes. So look, this is one of the big ones. If I had to do like a top 5 or even a top 3, oh wait, I have common misperceptions is that a home does not automatically go to your spouse if you die, even if you bought it together, even if both names are on the title. If you want to nerd out for a second, which I'm with you, I'm there. This is what's called joint tenancy, or joint tenancy with rights of survivorship. Texas doesn't have that. We have what's called tenants in common. So the joint tenancy in property law has this automatic right of survivorship that if you've got, let's say, 2 people who own a property together, that it automatically goes to the other. And one thing that I always try to emphasize when it comes to this type of law is that, like, basically nothing is automatic. There's a few words that make my soul die a little inside every time somebody says it, and automatic is one of them. Do you know what the other ones are?
Sure.
Oh, that's true. I mean more, that's just in general. That's just in life.
Okay.
I don't like the response, sure. Unless it has an exclamation point. To me, that negates the apathy of sure. Sure. But yeah, that's true. When it comes to things that we'll hear clients or potential clients say, do you know what the other trigger words for me are?
I did it
DIY?
online.
Yeah.
Wait. I heard. I don't know which one of you. You two are actually beginning to sound alike.
We both said DIY essentially.
DIY. Yeah. So it's forms. Form. Okay, that's another one. And then finally, very similar to that, boilerplate.
Oh.
Cynthia, you look like you're brewing on a thought here.
Oh no, it's just you said words, but also phrases of, oh, I asked a friend and I can do it without an attorney.
I asked my attorney who doesn't specialize in estate planning.
No, the ones where they ask their friends are my favorite. Like, oh,
this needs to be a whole nother. Wait a minute. This needs to be an episode in and of itself. Things that people say that make our souls die. That's not bad. Stay tuned for a future episode where we dive more into things that people say that make our souls die. So yes, so back to the matter at hand, because this is a really big deal. And it's where a lot of mistakes happen, a lot of mistakes. And it doesn't make sense. As Adley would say, huh? So if you buy a home together, even if both names are on the title, now understand that I'm emphasizing the word automatic. Does that mean that the law wouldn't then dictate that it would go to the surviving spouse? I'm not saying that. However, hold on to your seats because I'm about to throw a curveball there. It's not to say that it wouldn't ultimately go to the spouse, but the point being is there's going to have to be a process, a legal process, whether it's through probate court or documents. But all of that, the takeaway here is it's time and money that's unnecessary. And just causes delays, particularly at times someone's grieving. Or what it typically happens is, especially if it's, let's say, an older couple, look, nobody's going to kick you out of your house if you're paying the taxes or paying the mortgage. Now, if you go to sell it, if you go to refinance it, or what we see happen far too often, you stay in the house and then you pass away, then your next people, usually this is like adult children, are the ones that are going to figure out not only do they need to settle things for you, but they have to backtrack and take care of things for your spouse that you didn't do anything for. Because look, when you put beneficiaries on life insurance, retirement, when you go to the bank and you set up a joint account, now little caveat there, if you're setting up those accounts in states that have joint tenancy, typically that does create a scenario where it's a right of survivorship. But in Texas, you may not even realize when you're opening a joint account with somebody that you're signing off on making it with rights of survivorship. You may notice that you see this JAWROS or JTWROS or anything on bank statements. You probably just gloss over and don't even realize what all that means. But it means this right of survivorship. Now, caveat to that, there are lots of different ways that you can actually have people's names on a bank account, but that's just kind of a common thing. But what happens is that when one spouse passes away, it may be that the majority of your assets do end up transferring without some legal mechanism, whether it's through a beneficiary designation or a bank account that automatically did something, right? Because I use the word automatic in this case because it had a right of survivorship on it. And then you don't realize the house title is an issue. So this is a really, really big deal. So related to that, common misperception number 2 is not only does it not automatically go to a spouse, but it may not go to your spouse at all. What's a scenario where that would happen? Anyone? Bueller?
Kids from a prior marriage.
Kids
outside of the marriage.
It's outside of the marriage.
Yeah.
Right. So in Texas, if you have children that aren't legally with the person you're currently married to, and I say it in that very lawyerly way, because like Cyntia just said, and I usually slip into that if they're children from a previous marriage, but hey, It doesn't always work that way. But if you have children that you've had with somebody else, no matter what sort of formal or informal relationship you had with that person, or whether you're even aware that you had those children, then the law actually dictates that they would inherit your half, your community property half, because we are a community property state in Texas. They would inherit your community property half. So this is a scenario where, let's say we've got a married couple that both own a house, both names are on it, community property state, Texas. Spouse one has children from a previous relationship. Spouse one dies, no will, then actually their half of the house would go to those children and not to the surviving spouse. And I can tell you, people who are in blended families who have stepchildren have a lot of terror that comes over their face when they hear that, but is the absolute truth. Absolute truth. Right? Do we deal with those situations?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Sarah, were you going to say something? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we got. Okay. Cyntia, something substantive. I feel it.
Yes. Another really fun thing is a lot of the times whenever time comes and somebody does pass away, a lot of times people think, oh, I can just start doing things right away. It's an automatic process. They passed away. Let's go. It's like, well, there are some things you have to wait for, like death certificate. There's a couple of requirements that you have to meet before you can continue and actually
you have to. And what's a death certificate, Sarah? It's where they've certified that you're dead, right?
Correct.
And how?
And how?
Ooh, okay.
And the manner in which you became this way.
Yes. By whom?
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I'm still coming off the week-long CLEs, continuing legal education.
And by whom?
And if you have hastened the death of someone that you are a beneficiary of, you may have disinherited yourself or disqualified yourself.
Yeah.
So all I have to say to that is make it look like an accident.
Yeah.
There's plenty of datelines out there to show you a path forward. maybe it'd be better to do like an unsolved mystery, because usually datelines have a resolution to them.
Yeah.
Well, but see, the unsolved mystery is you get all the surrounding factors, but you don't get the crucial bit on how they kept it unsolved, which I mean is the point. But the other ones, there's a pattern to follow. Somebody's going to be able to figure it out.
I refuse to watch unsolved mysteries because I love me some Dateline. I think that's probably the higher quality program. 2020 makes a good attempt, but it's what I don't like about 2020 is they often will have basically journalists and reporters telling the story. So it's like third-hand accounts of everything, where Dateline's a lot better at actually getting the people themselves to tell the story. So that's one of my little pet peeves. And some of them are just really over the top and dramatic. There's a few of them, I won't name names because I like to keep it positive. But no one can hold a candle to Keith Morrison. No one. Not a single person. So Dateline it is. But anyway, yes. So and kind of following off of what Cyntia was just saying, that's another big misperception that we see. And that is, people do not realize, hold on to your seats, do not realize that even if you have a will, it still has to go through a probate process. Yes, it does. And it's faster, it's less expensive. You still get to make all your own decisions through your will, but it still has to be approved by a judge. And whomever you're choosing to be the person who makes all the stuff happen, in Texas called an executor, but sometimes you hear this referred to as a representative, a personal representative, sometimes an administrator. If we kept one consistent title for this, then it's harder to justify our fees. So we have to come up with multiple names for the exact same thing. But that's what this is.
We didn't come up with it. The state came up with it.
No, I mean, we collectively as a profession, me personally, I had nothing to do with this. I am but a mere legal whisperer, if you will. I am the liaison between the powers that be and you, making sure that you can navigate this process with as much ease as possible and peace of mind. So anyway, but yes, so it does. And this is, I mean, one of the most common things we get, and Sam feels this because she's on the front lines at the office, where people will call and say, yes, mom died. I've got a will. I'm the executor. Let's get started. And Sam knows. I mean, she's been trained to be delicate and sensitive and all of those things. But she knows in the back of her mind, honey, you don't have a will. You don't have a will till we look at it, we tell you. And then a judge has to give you an opinion, and you're not the executor until a judge says you're an executor. And guess what? You may not be able to serve as the executor because there's lots of things that can disqualify you. And it's remarkable. And it's taken a while sometimes in our office to train people who've never been in the legal profession or have been in the legal profession but haven't done estate planning and probate, that you can't take for granted. You can't take it for granted when they say that they have a will, because then what that could be a whole podcast episode too. That all the things that we find out when they say they have a will. Oh, but we can't find it. Oh, but I saw it. Oh, but they told me they had one. Or here it is. And we had a situation earlier this week with an internet online will, and you get to the witness pages, and there's two places for two different witnesses to sign. And who wants to share what we saw?
I don't know that's applicable.
Good one.
I'll share. So essentially, you get to the pages where Sam very painstakingly sits and watches people sign their name, then watches a combination of the other team members witness, and then she takes her little cute stamp that she got from the state. She stamps it,
Love that stamp.
and notarizes it, and then she signs it. So this will, it was will online will from the website right now. But anyway, that's what
it doesn't matter.
Point. Yeah,
not sponsored.
So what the testator does, one who makes their not trust will, my bad, testamentary intent, whatever, they go ahead and they sign their name where it says them. Okay, great. Then they go down to the witness lines. They just decide to put in/A and initial it.
Crazy.
So it's not applicable to them. They do that for the second one. And we're like, oh, okay. Then they go to the last page, which is very important also, self-proving affidavits. We don't charge extra for those. Those are part of it. You see they sign.
Well, what if they'd pay for it?
Not applicable for one, not applicable for the other, initials. And then they go to the notary part. Sam, would you say that you are in the room for funsies?
No.
Or do you actually serve a purpose for notarizing?
Yeah, I kind of serve a purpose, yeah.
Kind of? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So they just put NA.
That's crazy.
Well, my favorite part is, first, it was typed in, but then they're like, no, let's make this a fish. Let's go ahead and print it, and let's actually take pen to paper.
Handwrite.
But
maybe they went back to the instructions that say it has to be handwritten.
I was going to say,
the
at the top,
instructions that say...
There's like instructions at the very top that say to do it in front of a notary and two witnesses.
But
like
that's
they
not
have
applicable.
instructions for it.
NA.
Nah.
That triggered me a little bit when I saw the instructions. I was like, oh.
And the instructions are pretty clear. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, when we look at the instructions that this online, one of the big ones that you see advertised, that when they sent the instructions for having it to be signed.
Hello?
Well,
Hello.
Oh, mine just said lost connection.
Okay, we're on. So,
I was gonna say, do you
Uh-oh.
think
Can you all
she's
hear
still
me?
going?
nope. I think she's gone. So, Sam, you know,
Hey.
whenever we've gotten instructions in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, is she back?
Okay. I'm back.
Oh,
And
hello.
I'm back. Where did I leave off?
It's one of the big ones. So, whenever we see instructions, Sam, and then I don't know where
Okay.
you're going with that.
Yeah, so whenever we see instructions, Sam, that
Mm-hmm.
say, and this was one of the big companies that advertise their easy and cheap online forms. Correct me if I'm wrong, where it says to have 2 witnesses sign and a notary, does it
Mhm.
say optional?
No, not at all. No.
Does it say you can just opt out of that?
No.
No,
But they
no,
did.
no, it
So,
doesn't.
obviously, we don't live in a world that is chaotic. We live in a world, in a society of rules. And everybody follows those rules, right?
Sounds fake.
Wait, what was that?
Sounds fake.
Sounds fake. Listen,
Yeah.
you're in the same
Fake
room and I
news.
didn't get it.
That's valid.
Alternative facts. Yes, it's and I'll tell you,
Facts.
I've harped on this, and I even had somebody. It was really she on behalf of her husband. She's like, "Can you explain to my husband? Like, just presume we know how to get it signed. What are the other reasons DIY is bad?" And I'm like, "I can give you 100 reasons, but why is he presuming that it's going to be so easy for him to figure out how to sign?" And I know when we explain it, it sounds really silly, but we can tell you that when we look at these either online forms, AI, DIY stuff, or even even these reduced legal programs, or even through HR companies where they provide, and it's real law firms that do this stuff, but they send it off to you for you to get it signed. At least 70, and I'm being generous with this number, at least 70% of the time it's not signed correctly. Easy. And the biggest problem with that is it's not valid. Like there's my grandpa used to say close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And so it does not count in probate. And so either it's a validly signed will or it doesn't exist. Because I've had instances where people will say, well, can we at least show it to the judge to show intent or this or that? It's like, no, it can't be used at all. So we're back at square one, which I think is another good segue. I was going to bring this one up, but I think Sam and Sara, whomever wants to bring it up, and hopefully you're picking up on my very softball pitch to you. But which softball's not easy, so I really don't know why people use that explanation. Have you seen some of these like pitches that they do? It's actually
intense.
really not that easy. Anyway, but hopefully you're going to pick up what I'm dropping, and that is, what is another common misperception that we encounter once Cyntia
That they
recovers?
picked up what you were dropping.
See,
Yeah, the softball.
that is not a legal misperception, but that is a Burch Law misperception that they are picking up what I am dropping. Let's see.
I can't tell if Sara's gonna say it. Like it looks like she is. I'm like,
I'm afraid.
I don't think Sara can tell if she's gonna say it.
Yeah, I'm afraid I didn't pick up what you're dropping, but if it is, it's that you can do estate planning on your own.
Okay, so that you're saying that is a common misperception. No?
Right. Yeah.
Right. That they can do it on their own. Your lighting just really changed, Cyntia. What
Yeah, I
happened?
need to. I'm not sure.
No, it's good.
She's glowing.
You're
I
glowing.
look ghostly. I don't know
No.
that I like it.
Okay. So yes. So we already talked about signing, and we talk a lot about the DIY stuff. So it'll, tune into a previous, or I'm sure future podcast on more deep diving into why doing the estate planning on your own, DIY, what have you, is a problem. But just, Sara, I want you to do this because you're the one person in the firm that has no work and no job duties that have to do with actually substantive legal work. You are the marketing coordinator, coordinating marketing. So if signing incorrectly is one of the big problems we have with DIY, what would you say, Sara, is another problem that we commonly see when people try to DIY?
I would say it's, from what I've heard, it's people like using wrong or incorrect / vague language, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that is directly from a blog that you have been responsible for getting on the website and reviewing
Amazing.
on the website.
Ooh,
Well,
She
there we
reads
go.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she reads.
So would you say, and I know we've brought this one up before, and I know that every single one of our listeners listens and re-listens and re-listens to every episode from beginning to end. So I'm sorry that you're going to hear it again. But if we're amused by it, when we bring it up at least once or twice every single week, I would think you hearing this for like a third time is still amusing. And that is the classic, I give 100 shares in the following manner. 0 shares to so-and-so, 0 shares to so-and-so, 0 shares to so-and-so. If none of them survive me, then I give 100 shares to, you get the idea. I mean, we could do the direct quote. That's not the exact language, but it's still just fascinating because no idea what to do with that. So you've basically not distributed anything, any of your estate. Like we have no idea where does the piano go? Where does the bank account go? Who gets your house? No idea. You've recognized that at least there's 100, right? But it goes to no one. And then of those no ones, if they don't survive, then, but what does it matter if they survive or not? So if the people that get 0 based on this will do survive, then who do we know to give anything to when the only people that get mentioned getting anything is kind of contingent on those people getting nothing, not surviving?
Okay, I have a good question. What happens for that piano, let's say, if somebody decides to get a sticky note and put it underneath the key cover and it has like their initials on it? Does that work?
Well, yes and no, it could work. Because when it comes to personal items that don't have legal title, so like a bank account, a car, a home, those all have legal titles. You can't just start pretending that one's yours. But things like that, it's easier to distribute in that way. But the point is, though, that short or absent of having a legal document that puts somebody in charge, because people sometimes think, the estate planning, will, trust, whatever, is just about how you want things distributed. But the second big piece of that is who's in charge of doing that. So in a scenario where you basically have to have someone who is in charge of the estate, you have to have some determination on how things are distributed. And then they're the ones that have to sort out, okay, does the piano go to this person or not? Because what we write into all of our wills and trusts is the ability to leave behind a memorandum or CYA organizer, as we call it now. But anyway, to be able to leave behind a list of how personal items can go to people. It's not legally binding, but it is a guide to the executor that this is what your wishes would be. So that's why having a person who is appointed to carry out those wishes is important. But technically, if it came down to fighting about it, then that would not be a legal way to distribute the piano. It would have to be in what's called a specific bequest, and it would have to be documented
So, quick
in
question.
a legal
Let's say,
instrument.
for funsies. So, there's the piano. I've written my initials on a sticky note, stuck it underneath. So, whoever's the owner, they pass away. I know they're passed away. So it's mine now. So like I can just go get it. I can assume that, or Like I can just go into the
One,
house.
I don't want to talk about the
piano.
gun because that's actually a very complicated area of law, and that could
Gun?
take that could take an hour and a half to talk
I
about
just said
properly.
piano.
You said a piano and a gun.
No,
Yeah,
I
heard
said.
gun.
Oh, I didn't say gun.
Oh,
I
I don't know,
said
right?
I stuck, thing. They're dead. I just go pick up the piano. I assume it's mine now, and I take it.
Okay, Sarah and I are gonna have to go back to the tape because I could have sworn
Yeah,
that I
please
heard
do.
Yeah, I
gun.
don't know where
Yeah,
y'all heard
I-
gun.
Yeah, Sam's in the same room
swear.
with me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
No, no
so good.
guns.
I'm glad you're not bringing that up.
No,
Also,
that's a
as someone
completely
who
different
has a
can of worms. I
piano,
know.
yeah, as someone who has a piano, nobody walks in and carries that out. In fact, we tried to get rid of the piano, but the people who came and got it couldn't get it out of the house, so
Oh,
now it's still
no.
on the piano.
Oh no, trust me. My spouse has a piano that they really want
Yes.
to move to Dallas, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. So I have to say I don't really understand your question. What was it
Like,
what
somebody
happens if someone
dies,
just takes it?
they're dead, and I'm like, okay, great. That piano is now mine. They haven't gone no death certificate, no probate, no nothing. There's no executor assigned, nothing. I just go and get it.
Yeah. It's
That's
the
theft.
answer I previously gave. Not necessarily, but you know what they say: possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah.
They also say you can't
And
unring a bell, right? But I mean, it depends. It depends on a lot of things. If there is a will that says the piano is going to go to you anyway, then it's kind of gets into this thing like, what are the damages, what are the problems, so again, it's not crystal clear. The point is that um, when things are left to chance and when things are left up in the air, or you have unsavory people that you've allowed to have access to your property, you're leaving everything to a risk, and good chance that they're either one, your wishes won't be carried out, or two, there's just going to be a lot of confusion and fighting that come about from that. So yeah. So I have so many other misperceptions or common mistakes that people make, but I wanted to see, because we can always do a part 2, 3, 4, 500 of this, because every day we get another one. So before I decide whether to share any more, or to make you all wait on the edge of your seats for it, I do think, Sam and Sara, did you have any other ones not like related to estate planning and probate? Get the smiles off
Yeah.
your face, that you wanted to bring up?
I think it's worth noting that estate planning isn't only for wealthy people or if you have a lot of stuff. For example, I have a will and I don't have a lot of stuff or a lot of money. So it's always good to have.
you have Kona. Kona is invaluable.
That is true.
Not the town
Right.
on the Big
The
Island
dog.
of Hawaii.
No, her dog.
Yeah, I don't
Her dog.
own the island.
Well, Kona's not an island. It's
It's a town.
area of the Big Island of Hawaii.
Well,
Anyway,
still
either way, you don't have it.
yeah,
Yes.
no.
So then why do you? I mean, if you're bringing that up, then why do you?
Great question. Really, so partially it's because Cyntia pestered me for months on end to get it done. But it worked, and she meant well. But also it's because, like, if something were to happen to me, and I were incapacitated or whatever, like I want things to work out. So it's always like it's not just about who gets what. It's like what happens if you can't speak and things like that, or you
Yeah,
can't
like
make your
right
own
now.
decisions. Yeah. So that's why I got it.
Who has the power of attorney for you being able to articulate yourself?
I don't know, because it's not.
Give it to
it's
Sam.
not-
Sam's like, I've got this one. What Sara means to say is,
Sam has the brain cell right now. We share it, so
Yeah. That's
That
twin
worries me.
strength. Sometimes I have it, sometimes she hasn't.
It worries me
Yeah.
a lot.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, we actually have a blog out there, don't we, Sarah, that really addresses why would you need a will even if you have little to no money or assets. And a lot of it, and I kind of just mentioned this a few moments ago, was about having an estate representation. Well, what does that mean? It can be anything from having someone easily who can file taxes or communicate with the IRS. It can be communicating with Social Security. It can be handling debts of the estate. It could be being able to recover unclaimed property, or if there's a wrongful death claim, someone who has the ability to to take action after you have died. So there's a lot of reasons why you would want that. It also could be if you're getting sometimes there are refunds for like health insurance premiums or rent or something else, and or even a last paycheck, it'll get paid to a person to a person's name or to the estate. And the only way you're going to be able to deposit that money is to have what's called an estate account. And the only way you're going to be able to have an estate account is to go through a probate process. So if you have a will, that certainly makes it simpler and more straightforward to do that. For people who have children, I almost said the two-legged, four-legged thing, but we got into that last time, I believe. So for those who have children under 18, or technically if you have pets, you can designate who will take care of them. So it has nothing to do with necessarily money or assets. Probably could go on much further with that, but those are reasons why someone with little to no assets would benefit greatly from having a will in place. So thanks for bringing that up, Sarah. It was great. Sam, did you have any, and don't feel the pressure because we can move on, but do you have anything that you feel is like a common misperception that you wanted to share with the class?
Yeah, that getting your estate planning done isn't just for the older folk.
Do tell.
Yeah, that like me and Sara have gotten our wills and we're 28, or she's about to be 28.
Ooh.
I love how you only age drop her.
I said we. I said we're 28, but then I was like, well, she's younger. Well, she's about to. Yeah. Anyway, so like we're in our 20s, and like she said, we both don't have a lot, and we both got it. We kind of aim, especially at like younger parents with kids. That's also really important to get your estate planning done. So it's just not for the older and the wiser and the richer.
I don't know what wiser has anything to do with it, but
I don't know. Isn't it like you're old? Like the older you get, the wiser you're supposed to be, or whatever.
Well, I mean,
I have this thing where I get older, just never wiser.
Oh, you set her up.
I did. Yeah, that was her.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So as we come to a close here, I do want to give some time to Sam and Sara for their special segment of the show. What's the Monty Python thing? And I know nobody's going to answer me on this, but and now for something completely different.
Actually, we own Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Oh.
Yeah. So are there other misperceptions that the two of you would like to share? And go.
There sure are.
I'm fascinated by this.
There sure are. Good job.
So when I was little, and I'm talking like little,
I
used to think everybody had different colored blood. So I thought like mine was red, but I thought other people had like blue or green or whatever. And
it'd be kind of fun.
I later realized that was not true.
Where this came from? Like, what was there like any moment like that was like, no, everyone's blood is different?
I don't know what made me think that. Like, I just, kids and their imagination. I don't know. I just thought like, okay, this is a color. It's red for me, so it must be a different color for other people. It's not.
Not in the podcast. Not in the podcast, but at some point. And how long have you worked here, Sara? Are we going on 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over 2 years.
Yeah, over 2 years.
Over 2 years. We need to sit down, and I really need to dig into your childhood.
Sarah
Yeah,
Lore.
the two people
There's-
that I would argue spent more time with her outside of the office, like relatively, but not like a whole lot more. Me and Sam. There's so much that we're like, we just unlocked new Sarah lore. Oh
She'll
my
just
gosh.
drop it out of nowhere, and we're like, we've known you for how long, and you just don't tell us
Yeah,
this?
it's like fascinating. That's
Yeah.
why I was
I
like,
don't know.
there had to have been something in your life that like somebody may have like said something, or like there was like a book or something that just kind of
Maybe.
got that okay.
My favorite
Maybe there was.
time was
but
when you were just casually like, yeah, I'm doing a bike marathon. It's
Yeah.
like 80 miles, like in
And
a couple
both,
weeks.
like,
And we were
Sam and
just
I are
like, hello?
You don't like to play ping pong for too long because you get winded.
Well, that's why it's a
Yeah.
marathon, not a sprint.
That's
So
true.
true.
Exactly.
Slow and steady wins
Exactly.
the race. That's
right.
That's got to be on one of your flip things that you've got, right, Sarah?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Sam, what's a misperception you want to share?
This one is about me. A lot of people, especially, it was like the red hair phase, like 5-10 years ago. I would constantly get people coming up to me, like asking what dye I use, what hairstylist, like all of that. They did not believe that my ginger hair was real.
So they thought that you did that to yourself on purpose.
Yeah. There was like, I used to like get bullied about it, and then it became a
Wow.
fad. And so now people love it. For weird.
Aren't your people dying out?
Probably.
What?
I mean, we're pretty rare.
No, they pop up
Yeah.
every now and
I
then.
want to go to that
They
redhead
pop up.
like, convention that's in like Scotland once a year.
There is a redhead convention.
Yeah, well, it's not like festival or something that's in like Scotland.
Do you have to be like pure ginger like you, or can you be like a strawberry blonde like Poppy?
I think it's like for gingers.
Okay.
Of the ginger kind.
I would say look it up.
But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've only ever just seen a whole
You and
range.
Poppy
Yeah.
can get on a plane.
Yeah,
and
we can go have a little trip.
together.
It'd be fun.
And oh my God, no, please,
Hi.
guys.
Yeah. This is
Hi.
the easiest baby in the world. We'll have a lot of fun.
My favorite's
Yeah.
when she says open, like she wants you to open her baby gate.
Mhm.
It's like open.
Yeah.
It's like you make a very compelling argument, Poppy, but I can't unleash you.
I like her trying to climb over it because she can get like one leg up for the most part, and then she just kind of just stands
She
there.
just hangs
and
out.
So
It's
funny.
great.
It's so cute.
Yeah. She's this close to being able to get out of it, I think.
Yeah, she seems like
And
it.
she
Her
actually
legs
knows
are so
where,
strong.
like
Too
where
cool.
it works.
Mhm.
So I think
Ooh.
she's probably gonna
It's a
figure
matter of time.
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see. We're talking about my 2-year-old in case our listeners, our fans aren't. I was gonna say our watchers, but then that's a movie that we all saw together and it's not the same. All right,
Yeah.
let's keep going. I'm
Yeah.
entertained. I'm the monarch and you are my jesters. Entertainment.
Okay.
Well,
So this is for both Sam and I. We both thought when we were younger that the Bermuda Triangle and also quicksand would be a much bigger problem later in our life, and it is not. No further questions.
kind of help you with that one. It's whenever we were younger. Yes, I'm a little older than you guys, but not that much.
Mhm.
All of our cartoons had so much quicksand, had so many things about getting lost in the Bermuda Triangle, had just, or that another thing was that you could get across a river by hopping on alligator backs or crocodile backs,
Oh.
like
much of a security
stones. Yeah,
piece
no,
to do that.
there's a
Okay.
lot of weird things that
You know what this generation's quicksand is, right?
No?
Or do you need to have young kids like I do to know?
yeah, what you said.
Yeah.
It's lava.
Oh.
I used to
that's
do
a
lava
phase.
too. Yeah.
No, that's a phase.
Lava's
I
cool.
feel.
Down the floor.
Yeah, there's
There's
a
lava.
lot out there about lava and not stepping in the lava, even when you're eating enchiladas, extra spicy salsa.
Oh yeah.
Eat them
'cause
in the
Abby was
kitchen,
the-
but don't step on the lava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has she gotten to the point where she's telling you the difference between lava and magma? It's your 5-year-old. She would.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes. It wasn't magma, but there was something. This was a long time ago, so not even 5. It was definitely 4, or maybe the cusp of 3 and 4, where she was talking to me about how volcanoes form.
What? Yeah.
This is her dinosaurs. Instead of being obsessed with dinosaurs, she's obsessed with volcanoes.
Yeah, it was actually, I think it was before we were going to go to Hawaii for the second time. Before we were going to take her to Hawaii, and she did not want to go because she was afraid of volcanoes and lava. And look, I'm not proud of this, but I'm like, oh, don't worry. There will be no lava there. There's no volcanoes in Hawaii.
I can't wait for that memory to come back.
Yeah, she knows better, but now she's fine with it. But there are no snakes in Hawaii, and that is
interesting.
a true fact.
Yeah. Landmass formed out there. There's really not too many deep sea
I'm surprised
dwellers.
like some didn't somehow get like transported over there.
Yeah, that's always been like a really big thing scientists talk about. Like,
I didn't know that.
How have they not just snuck on a boat and gotten over?
Have any of you been to Hawaii?
No.
I knew the answer to that. But
we're aware.
I've almost gone.
It's okay. I almost won $1 million.
I was born on an island, so I think she's been the closest.
They are very, very, very intense about what you bring onto the island and any of the islands. Kauai is probably the hardest core one. And what you take off the island. Like you basically have to sign in blood on the plane as you're landing. And declare things, and then they search it, and then when you leave, there are like 3 different security checks, maybe even 4, but it's all for like agricultural. So I leave the stickers on my bags because it's kind of like the old timey thing where they have the countries on the chests, like the stickers to kind of show like wherever you've traveled. So it's kind of like that. So you keep it on there, but it's an agricultural check sticker that you get on your luggage when you go to and from Hawaii. So they're pretty intense there for sure, as they should be, because they've done a great job.
Yeah.
So far. All right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you all for tuning in to another exciting, insightful. One of us knows what they're talking about, and the other one is you. Join us next time. Thanks for listening. And just to cover all our bases about what you just heard, I'm sorry and you're welcome. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And tell your friends about us. We do webinars and live events. The best way to stay up to date is to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, maybe you have a question you'd like us to answer, or maybe you just want to say hi, hit the link in the show notes or go to burch-law.com/podcast and fill out the contact form.
Much better.
Yeah, I thought that had a lot of energy.